Hello, good morning, good evening, good night, afternoon, whatever's going on. I've come here today to the internet to complain, I think. And I've also come to the internet to just flip through this little binder and talk a little bit about a project that I have going on right now, but mostly to complain. This is just a vehicle for my complaints. So, thanks for watching. Yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about this in the comments if you get all the way through. Okay, so this notebook is the notebook that I use to collect inspiration for my current renovation project, which is our kitchen. We moved into this house about 5 years ago, and it is an older house. The original part of it is probably from the 1870s or so, maybe, not 100% sure. And then the newest part is from the 1940s. So it's an older house. It's kind of cobbled together. And when we bought it, the kitchen floor was not there. So there was just a hole, and that was what you had for a kitchen floor. So we nailed down some stuff real quick, put some LVP down, and called it a day. And now 5 years later, we're kind of circling back to it and trying to get our kitchen actually finished the way that we would want it, so that it's, what we want aesthetically, but also doesn't have clear exit and enter signs for all local mice. So this project's been a long time coming. I wish that I could say that we were able to move into the house and have funds to get it squared away immediately, and everything went perfectly and whatever, but that is not the case. We've limped along with it for 5 years, and we've just now come to the point where we're working on it. But the advantage of it taking that long to get to is that it's given me a lot of time to think and plan about what I actually want in a kitchen. So when we first moved in, I made a Pinterest board, and I started out on Pinterest. And I just started collecting ideas so that when it came time to eventually do this, I had some thought, behind what I like and dislike. And just living in the space has given me a lot of insight too. I know that there are some things in it right now that absolutely drive me nuts that I can't wait to tear out. And I probably wouldn't have realized that if we did the renovation early on when we first moved in. So there are advantages to having to wait a while to get something done. But when it came time that we were starting to think, hey, we can get, into this kitchen project now, which if you're wondering why I'm out here with a notebook on a pile of cabinets, this is part of the kitchen project. When it came time to start working away at it, I hopped back on Pinterest and I started, really getting down to what I really truly knew that I did want, kind of narrowing down the inspiration. And no sooner did I get back on the old Pinterest.com, formerly one of my favorite websites on the internet, was I bombarded rudely by every single picture, mostly being AI modified, being tagged as AI modified. And if you're wondering at this point if this is just another video about people complaining about how everything is AI now, you are right. It is that. So we are going to talk a little bit more about that and why it bothered me, but I guess we should look at a few pictures. Let's break it up, right? So let's look at a few pictures. So when it came to all the AI stuff on Pinterest, I was very discouraged, and that's why I went back to this analog Pinterest board, what we used to call a 3-ring binder. And I've just been gathering material into this and using this to kind of be the source for all of the inspiration and material that we need for the kitchen. So we'll flip through it. And while we flip through it, I'm just going to complain more, if that sounds okay. This is from a dust jacket that my 4-year-old chewed up, so I had to take it off the book. I like this kitchen just because, of course, there's a lady on a horse in the kitchen, but I thought it had this lovely natural light, and it had this feeling of the line between the outside and the inside being really fluid. Not just because there's a lady with a horse, but you can see the outdoors kind of behind her here. And I really liked that. Our kitchen has pretty good access to the outdoors. It has a the two doors into the house are like on either side of the kitchen, kind of. And I wanted to kind of channel that feeling of it being, sort of a place that is one step away from being outside. And then I did take a few pictures that I had on Pinterest that I had saved and I liked for various reasons, and I just printed them out and put them in here so I wouldn't kind of lose track of them. And the reason why I chose these ones is our kitchen is a primarily 1940s era build, that part of the house. And I wanted to kind of honor that by creating a non-fitted kitchen that had pieces in it up through from the late Victorian up through the 1940s. And, just kind of piece it together and give it a look that it's, layered and reflective of the history of the house. So I like these pictures that I stole from Pinterest of unfitted kitchens. And I will say, I don't know, but the majority of my Pinterest is like traditional decor, right? Like our house is pretty traditional in terms of its decorating. I try to decorate it and renovate in keeping with the history of the house and the age of the house and the architecture. And for whatever reason, like maybe the rest of Pinterest is like that too, but flooded with AI images right now. Absolutely flooded, like traditional decor. And I like at least that they're tagged, because I'm going to be real honest. I'm an aging millennial, and I think I might be in an age demographic that struggles to tell if something is AI. I can like zoom in and see if like the clock is backwards and upside down or something, it's probably AI. But otherwise, I do kind of struggle with it, which is definitely disconcerting. But there's a lot of traditional decor and unfitted kitchens that I came across on there that are AI or AI modified images. So discouraging. This page just has some colors, paint swatches that I'm either using or considering using. I have a Hoosier cabinet that I painted this color that's going to go in there. It's a Sherwin-Williams color. All these are Sherwin-Williams colors. And this one, there's a cabinet that I'm keeping cleaning supplies that's that color. And then I've just kind of been collecting some other ones down here, and it makes it really easy to compare them, that are possible candidates for wall colors or other cabinet colors and that kind of thing. So I just like to be able to keep track of what I definitely have used and what I might use. I think there's bugs coming out. I'm outside, which is my paint staging area for all these projects. And a little bit of sun came out, and the bugs are like, it's our final time to shine of the year. It's getting cold here, so we'll give them this last day of niceness and warmth to live. When we tore down the drywall in the kitchen, underneath that there was lath and plaster, and it was absolutely awful to tear down, but we were going to tear down to the studs because there was a lot of electricity work that needed done, and it was in really bad shape, and there was a lot of mouse damage and that kind of thing, and it was very disgusting. But we tore out the drywall, and under the drywall, on top of the lath and plaster, was a couple of samples, or a couple of wallpapers like layered on top of each other. So I took these samples out because I thought it would be cool to either eventually frame them in the kitchen, or maybe I thought it would be cool to maybe frame them in the kitchen one day, or maybe just kind of pull the colors into the kitchen somehow to reference the previous decorators in there. This one is the older one. So this one, I think it might be hand painted. It's very, very delicate. It's not in great shape. And then if you look up near the top here on this part where the other piece overlapped on it, it has a signature from a wallpaper union that was active, I think from about the mid 1930s through the 1950s. So I couldn't find this exact wallpaper, but I did look through a lot of old Sears and Roebuck and like Montgomery Ward and that kind of thing. And it looks like this wallpaper is from the late 30s. So who can say, but that's my guess. And then this wallpaper was on top of it. And I haven't been able to find much about it yet, but I'm guessing it's from probably about the 50s. And then whenever they redid the kitchen again was when they put the wallboard over top of these layers. So I saved those just for, I don't know, again, just in case I want to frame pieces or refer to them for, you know, a little bit of inspiration or something like that. And just to retain some history of the kitchen. Here's a kitchen, an unfitted kitchen that I probably wouldn't go that bright with colors. I think I took this from Old House Journal. I probably wouldn't go that bright with colors, but I really like the cheerfulness of it, and I love the light, and I love that it is an unfitted kitchen. So I basically took all the unfitted kitchen inspiration that I could from across the World Wide Web, and you know, stored it up for reference. Just some more magazine clippings. I don't know if I am elderly, but I actually really like magazines. I think that they feel like a luxury item now to, like, you know, sit and put your feet up on the porch and whatever and read a magazine. So I really like magazines, and I like ones that I can kind of repurpose for decorating inspiration later on. So I just pulled that one because, you know, I like how that kitchen has some very traditional elements in it that I liked, so I just kept. Since starting this project and, you know, kind of having my latest encounter with Pinterest and going over my feelings and trying to figure out why it bothers me so much, the main conclusion that I've come to is that I feel like home decor is kind of like art. Like decorating a space is kind of like an art form, right? And I feel like that's a really human thing. And when you're missing the human element of it, it's just kind of, I don't know, it's a little dystopian. And I'm not like a conspiracy theorist, an AI conspiracy theorist, except I kind of am. But there's some things that I feel like AI could be really grateful for. Like, do I use ChatGPT to write like the formulas for my Excel spreadsheets? Yeah, I sometimes do. And I don't know if that makes me a great person or not, but I get a little creeped out when it encroaches into things that I feel like should have this, you know, that the human element is very essential to sort of their spirit and their being, as it were. And home decor is one of those things. I have some historic pictures in here that I just was referencing to, some unfitted kitchens from, I think this one is a late 1800s one. Oh, yeah. Well, late 1880s. And then this one might be like World War I era. 1916. So I am not like somebody who wants my kitchen to be historically accurate, just reflect the historic nature of the house. So I am not out here trying to be cooking my muffins on wood or coal powered stoves. I like to have electricity. Excuse me. So we're not trying to go for like a restoration. It's trying to be a renovation that, you know, sort of honors the age of the house. But I love these old historic, I don't know how old that one is. She looks like she's probably early 1900s. Honor the historic elements by, you know, kind of modeling after some of these unfitted kitchens here. So these are just some historic pictures that I'd come across of ladies in their kitchens. Actually, that's a gentleman in the kitchen. So my bad. Folks of all types in their kitchens hanging out. Another, I don't remember, this was an online article that there's some elements that I would pull from that I really liked. I have gone back and forth about the tile situation, but if I did do it, I really like this subway tile with dark grout that they have on the wall there. I love that it's an unfitted kitchen, and like I love that there's a pet bunny rabbit eating a banana there. So we live on a small farm. We have a lot of animals, and there's always animals underfoot. There's always, you know, cold lambs in the spring and that kind of thing. So again, I would love for the kitchen to feel a little bit like it's kind of bleeding into the outside, and the outside is coming in a little bit, if that makes sense. I'm tearing things. I don't know what I saved this for. Maybe because it's about bourbon, and I like bourbon a lot. You know, while we were tearing out the lath and plaster in the walls, we found quite a few mouse nests, which was just delicious. But when you find them, they're like layered, right? Like we found one and it has, you know, it's probably from like multiple generations of mice, and it had torn up pieces of cloth in it, and it had old advertisements from the 60s like shredded up in there, and it had you know, unidentifiable stuffing, and it had horsehair that had been pulled out of the plaster and kind of added in. And in one of them we even found the lining of like some vintage ladies underwear that had been like interwoven into the mouse nest. And I think like when I think about like the homes that I've been in and really loved, it's because there is that like feeling of it being layers of stuff, layers of decisions that the person who lives there made in order for the house to turn out the way that it is. So, you know, that might be just layers from the one family that lives there. That might be decisions that have been made by folks who are not even around anymore. Like in our house, there's architectural decisions and paint decisions and placement decisions and room decisions that were done by people who are lived here long before we did. And then we've just kind of layered on top of that. And that, I think, is what gives the character and warmth to people's houses, even if it's a new build, even if it's new construction, and you went to TJ Maxx and you outfitted your house and stuff from TJ Maxx. That's not really my vibe, but that's still like your little person house, and your little person brain went to TJ Maxx and made choices about the things that you wanted to see in there, and, you know, hoarded them all up and brought them home, and good for you. Like that, I think in a certain way, like causes the house to reflect you, whether or not you mean for that to intentionally be the result. And maybe that's what also bothers me about AI is like, no matter how hard it tries, it can't quite come up with that like feeling of people living in that space, or like generations of people living in that space. All the little decisions that we made to kind of haul stuff in and feather our nests with it. Hopefully none of us are hauling in the lining of like vintage ladies' underwear, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's a uniqueness to people's houses. Like there's a uniqueness to all the disgusting mouse nests that we pulled out of the wall that makes it, oh, hey, like somebody lives here. A human lives here that did all these little things with their weird little human brain to make it into like the perfect nest for them. And I don't know. It's just not the same as an algorithm, you know? And maybe that's what bugs me. I don't know. I can't decide if I'm being dramatic or not. I really can't. This kitchen, there's a few things I do like about it, but I mainly pulled it because it's Sherwin-Williams extra white. And I'm not a big like white. I'm not big about painting rooms white because like when I do it, it always turns out looking kind of builder grade. But I love how this room feels. And I feel like it has some darker elements that kind of keep it from being too sterile. So I did like that about it. So I popped it in there. And not all of these are kitchens. Some of them are just rooms that have elements of things that I like in it. I like this old-timey painting on the wall that doesn't have a frame on it. I feel like taking it out of the frame made it look, you know, a little modern and fresh, but it's still very traditional, which is the vibe that I'm going for. So, and love this wallpaper. I think it's a Morris & Co. Yeah, a Morris & Co. wallpaper. And I don't think I'm wallpapering in the kitchen, but I love those two colors together, and they were somewhat similar to the ones that I've chosen for the cabinetry. Let's see if I can flip back to it without knocking everything over. Yeah, these two that I chose for the cabinetry kind of reminded me of this wallpaper. So I love the color combination, and I don't know. I don't know. Just liked it. This is the other half of the dust jacket that the lady in the front, the horse kitchen lady was on. And I actually just put it in here because I didn't want to lose it. I don't really, nothing in my kitchen is going to, except dogs. There will be dogs in the kitchen. So just some, I also hoard a lot of paint slips and paint. I really like to visit historic houses too, because I'm very cool and trendy. I'm very on trend and cool and hip. So I do like to visit historic houses when I am traveling for whatever reason and take pictures and steal the ideas. And I think that I want to say this is the Mary Todd Lincoln House in Lexington, Kentucky, but I'm really not sure. But I like that yellow. I thought for a long time I wanted a yellow kitchen. I don't think I do, but I just liked it. So this is a house. I don't remember where that was, but I would really like to convince my husband to put in, not just in the kitchen, but all around the house, put in the chair rails and paneling. And he's not convinced yet, but I don't know. We might still have that convincing to do. I think this is also the Mary Todd Lincoln House. Not really anything to do with the kitchen, but... And then this snapshot is from Shaker Village, historic Shaker Village in somewhere in Kentucky, where they have a bunch of historically accurate buildings that belong to the Shakers, which were a religious commune that lived there into the middle of the 1900s. And they're very famous for their architecture and their furniture and the, simplicity and usefulness of their, everything that they build. And I think that it's just absolutely lovely. They're very known for their peg rails on the walls. And I wish that I was a bit more of a minimalist, because if I was, I would channel the Shaker architecture and furniture, because it's just absolutely beautiful. But I'm not a minimalist. I'm a hoarder. So, So I don't know. I gotta go and make sure my baby is up from his nap. But this is just a rant about Pinterest and the fact that they have AI modified images on there now. And the fact that that really puts a bad taste in my mouth as far as using it for inspiration for decorating and renovating. I just don't know if I'm into it, and I don't know if I'm overthinking it. So thank you for coming along for this mini rant and this tour of my analog Pinterest board / kitchen inspiration 3-ring binder. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I would really like to hear what people think about this, because I don't really know if I have my thoughts formulated yet. So I would love to hear what other people's brains are thinking on the matter. So yeah, drop it in the comments. Maybe subscribe if you feel like it. It's okay if you don't, but if you want to, then have a lovely time doing that. And it is appreciated. But yeah, let me know what you think, and I will see you the next time I have something to complain about, probably.